The Stonehenge is a prehistoric monument in Wiltshire, one of the most recognizable monoliths of the late Neolithic period, built some 5,000 years ago.
An AI just finished analyzing 5 millennia of data, and its final conclusion on Stonehenge is setting off alarm bells in the scientific community. Forget everything you've seen on TV documentaries. The real purpose of the ancient stones has been hiding right under our noses. This advanced artificial intelligence connected the dots between the stones' impossible origins, their strange acoustic properties, and their precise alignment. The pattern it found points to a single, terrifying purpose, one that has nothing to do with solstices or celebrations, but everything to do with a countdown. The impossible origins. 4 generations. Scholars argued over whether glaciers or human determination were responsible for moving the immense stones of Stonehenge, but the artificial intelligence settled that debate by processing thousands of archaeological reports, geological surveys, excavation journals, transportation studies, and environmental data sets fed into its training. It was not speculating. It was identifying patterns hidden across an ocean of information no human researcher could ever absorb in a single lifetime. The smaller blue stones, each weighing several tons, were confirmed to have come from Wales, something experts already suspected. But the artificial intelligence geochemical correlation system noticed something earlier researchers could never have detected with the naked eye. The mineral signature of the altar stone did not match any quarry in Wales. When the system compared its elemental fingerprint against sandstone formations across the entire British landscape, it found its closest match in the far northeastern region of Scotland within the ancient Arcadian basin, many hundreds of miles from the monument itself. This revelation emerged from the artificial intelligence cross-referencing geochemical samples, sedimentary signatures, provenance archives, and decades of published fieldwork. But the true surprise surfaced when the system began running its deeper pattern recognition models. These models had been trained on environmental physics datasets, magnetic field measurements, archaeological acoustic studies, and engineering reconstructions of ancient structures. When the artificial intelligence combined all of this information, it detected functional similarities between Stonehenge's stone selection and known principles of material resonance. The artificial intelligence was not declaring that Stonehenge was literally a machine. What it uncovered was a consistent and deliberate pattern. The stones chosen from different regions held distinct magnetic, acoustic, and mineral properties that, when simulated together, produced interactions far too specific and too coordinated to be the result of accident or coincidence. According to the artificial intelligence's model, the stones were not chosen for symbolism, ceremony, or visual appeal. They behaved like carefully selected components in a design system. The artificial intelligence reached this conclusion by examining geochemical provenance, magnetic behavior, and acoustic response, interweaving them through advanced pattern detection. When all of those data streams were layered upon one another, the implication became impossible to dismiss. The Neolithic builders of Stonehenge may have understood the physical behavior of certain stones in relation to the earth far more profoundly than any modern scholar ever imagined. So Stonehenge is a machine, a giant circuit board constructed from multi-ton stones aligned to mysterious points in the cosmos. That concept alone is staggering. But the next layer of the AI's discovery is even more unsettling. It's not just about what Stonehenge is made of or where it's pointing. It's about the invisible power it generates. For years, visitors to Stonehenge reported strange sensations, an unusual energy, a low hum vibrating through their bodies. Most dismissed it as imagination. The AI says it's real and it was engineered. Consider the implications. An entire population bathed in a constant, inaudible frequency that induces fear and anxiety. It's the ultimate tool of psychological control. The artificial intelligence did not offer theories of its own because it cannot speculate. It only identified patterns, correlations, and anomalies. The interpretation came from the research team studying its results. When they examined the behavioral models, magnetic profiles, and acoustic responses highlighted by the artificial intelligence, the team reached a chilling possibility. If certain arrangements of stones could influence human perception, sound, and atmosphere in measurable ways, then the monument might not have been built solely for ceremony or astronomy. The team concluded that under the right conditions, the structure could have been used to control large gatherings, to heighten fear, to induce submission, or to create an overwhelming sense of divine presence during rituals. The builders weren't just architects. They were masters of acoustic science and human psychology. They essentially built a weapon of mass influence capable of manipulating the emotional state of thousands simultaneously. The energy people feel today could just be a faint echo, a residual whisper of the monument's true terrifying power. The Stonehenge Code. The deeper researchers delved into Stonehenge, the stranger it became. The surprises didn't end with the AI-driven analysis of its structure. They were only the beginning. In the late summer of 2024, the team led by Anthony Clark at Curtin University conducted a study that quietly overturned one of the longest-held beliefs about the monument. Their research, published in Nature, focused on something that seemed tiny: minute mineral grains trapped inside fragments of the altar. But what those fragments revealed completely changed the story. Using high-precision mass spectrometry at the John Deere Center, the team found that the minerals within the altar stone were incredibly ancient, some dating between 1 and 2 billion years, others around 450 million years. This unusual mix of ages formed a chemical signature matching only one geological region on Earth. The old red sandstone of Scotland's Arcadian Basin, not Wales or anywhere near southern England. To put it in perspective, a short visual report outlines the discovery. The implications were immediate. Dr. Robert Ixer of University College London called the results genuinely shocking, and Professor Chris Kirkland explained why. Moving a 6-ton block across Britain by land would have been nearly impossible. This suggests Neolithic engineers almost certainly used marine transport, guiding the stones along hundreds of kilometers of rugged coastline with boats, tides, and navigation skills far more advanced than previously assumed. And this transported stone was not an exception. It fit a wider pattern across the British Isles. Blue stones from Wales, sarsen stones from Marlborough, sandstone from Scotland, each chosen for different regions and unique physical or cultural qualities. Researcher Richard Bevans summarized the finding. The team had traced the chemical fingerprints of one of the most famous stones on the planet, and those fingerprints pointed to a society with complex trade networks and impressive organizational skill. The story of Stonehenge's sophistication becomes even more vivid when acoustics come into play. In 2020, acoustical engineer Trevor Cox and his team at the University of Salford carried out the most detailed acoustic recreation of Stonehenge ever attempted. They built a precise 1:12 scale model, using 3D printed stones arranged exactly like the original, and placed it inside a specially designed acoustic chamber. This allowed them to study how voices, instruments, and environmental sounds behaved inside the structure without interference from modern noise. Their recordings revealed a truly unique sonic environment. Inside Stonehenge, the interior produced a reverberation of just over half a second, enhancing voices and amplifying music, while the same effect vanished immediately outside the circle. The monument created a contained acoustic world unlike anything ancient visitors experienced in daily life. Neolithic homes were quiet. Open landscapes dispersed sound quickly, and forests absorbed it. Within Stonehenge, even ordinary speech became fuller and more powerful, and rhythmic instruments generated vibrations that seemed to envelop listeners. The absence of echo was even more revealing. Despite the large stone surfaces, there were no sharp reflections. The inner stones disrupted sound from the outer ring, eliminating echoes entirely and creating a perfectly controlled sonic space that was not the result of random construction. It pointed to deliberate engineering. Rupert Till, an acoustics researcher and musicologist, expanded this work by studying the properties of the Welsh blue stones themselves. Some of these stones ring with metallic tones when struck, and the region they come from is known as Manglo, which means ringing stones. His modeling showed that the arrangement of the stones also produced low-frequency resonance, a deep inner vibration known as infrasound that sits beneath the level of conscious hearing. People do not hear this frequency, but they feel it as a physical sensation that can produce awe, unease, sorrow, or even fear. When all the findings were combined, the implication of the research became clear. Stonehenge did far more than amplify sound or beautify ceremonial music. Its design allowed it to generate and sustain low-frequency vibrations that interacted with the human body. The researchers concluded that the monument was engineered to create a powerful sensory experience, one capable of influencing emotion and perception on a large scale. It may have served as a controlled environment where sound shaped ritual belief and the psychological state of those who entered the circle. And when you combine the advanced transport networks revealed by the altar stone with the engineered acoustics demonstrated by the Salford experiments, a consistent picture begins to form. Stonehenge was never just a circle of stones. It was a precision-designed environment created by people with far more knowledge, coordination, and engineering ability than history once allowed them. The monument was built to be experienced, seen, heard, and felt, and this section of the research shows exactly how far that sophistication truly went. The celestial trigger. This was the moment when the artificial intelligence's analysis shifted from impressive pattern detection to something far more unsettling. The system cross-referenced the exact placement of the stones with reconstructed star maps from roughly 5,000 years ago. Everyone already knew that Stonehenge aligned with the solstices, but the artificial intelligence detected another alignment, one far subtler. It didn't follow the path of the sun or the moon. It pointed straight toward a mathematically empty region of the sky. When the system compared this alignment to ancient celestial configurations, it calculated a very high probability that the positioning was deliberate. The artificial intelligence could only present the geometry, the placement, and the probability. It could not suggest a purpose. The question of what the alignment meant belonged entirely to the research team. When the researchers examined the pattern maps produced by the artificial intelligence, the implications became heavier. The layout no longer resembled a ceremonial circle. It resembled a structure built for a specific function. The artificial intelligence then produced a second model, this time focused on acoustics. It showed that the stones formed a naturally resonant chamber capable of amplifying deep low-frequency sound. The artificial intelligence simply reported the physical behavior of the stones. The interpretation was up to the team. To the researchers, the geometry and the acoustic properties hinted at the possibility of a tool, a structure that could influence how a gathered crowd felt, reacted, or submitted under certain conditions. This pushed the team toward a more fundamental question. Who could have designed something so complex, and why would they attempt it at all? For generations, the popular belief was that Stonehenge represented unity. People imagined separate groups from across ancient Britain coming together to build a shared monument. It was a hopeful interpretation. However, once the artificial intelligence absorbed the full archaeological record and ran simulations of social organization, a different picture emerged. The system indicated that a structure requiring this precision, this much labor, and this long a construction period was statistically unlikely to come from scattered tribes working cooperatively. The mathematics pointed to a strongly centralized authority capable of commanding, organizing, and sustaining massive labor forces over multiple generations. The artificial intelligence did not describe the nature of that authority. It did not claim it was an empire or a kingdom. It simply showed the scale of coordination required. The interpretations that followed came from the research team. If such a centralized hierarchy existed, then stones transported from distant regions were not symbols of unity. They were signs of control. They could have been tribute from subordinate groups or materials extracted by force. What the team saw was a society in which a small, knowledgeable elite directed the labor of thousands, relying on a deep understanding of astronomy, geology, sound, and human psychology. The artificial intelligence never stated that fear maintained this system. It never indicated that Stonehenge was a weapon. These were human inferences drawn from the stark mathematical realities of the project. What remained indisputable was the human cost. The artificial intelligence estimated that completing the monument required the labor of thousands across several generations. It revealed a structure that demanded extraordinary sacrifices from the society that built it. There were no signs of battlefields or large-scale warfare. There were no fortresses. There was only perfect and silent organization. The artificial intelligence exposed the structure, The research team supplied the meaning. Together, they revealed the outline of a society that possessed extraordinary knowledge and extraordinary power. And somewhere within that union of stone, sound, and sky lay the purpose that no algorithm could fully explain. The last question belonged entirely to human imagination. What event were they preparing for? And far more ominously, what presence did they hope would arrive? The final purpose. This is where everything comes together, and honestly, it's tough to fully grasp. We're looking at an ancient machine built by a mysterious ruling class designed to stir fear and awe, aimed at a shadowy point in the sky. The ultimate question the AI tackled was the big one. Why? What was the real purpose of this massive endeavor? The artificial intelligence analyzed every shred of data it could find. It mapped the monument's exact celestial alignments, studied its acoustic properties, and examined the geological makeup of the stones. The AI determined that Stonehenge's layout aligned remarkably with a specific point in the sky, and the stone arrangement creates focused, low-frequency sound. These were concrete findings rooted in geometry, physics, acoustics, and geochemistry. The AI did not speculate on purpose or intention. The meaning of these discoveries, however, was left for the research team to interpret. Looking at the data, the team noticed that the combination of celestial alignment, resonant acoustics, and deliberate material choice could suggest many possibilities. Perhaps the builders intended a structure that amplified or interacted with natural forces. Maybe it was designed to influence human perception and behavior during gatherings inside the stone circle. The AI also found patterns hinting that these effects may have been timed with recurring cosmic events. Beyond that, ideas of protection, amplification, rituals, or warnings came entirely from the researchers studying the AI's output. The AI only gave the facts. Humans told the story. By separating objective analysis from human interpretation, the team could explore the monument's full potential uses without projecting intentions onto the AI itself. So where does this leave us? According to the AI, Stonehenge is not a primitive shrine. It's a highly advanced machine. Its acoustics can be measured. Its celestial alignments are deliberate, and its stones were chosen with purpose, as if each was a component in a larger system designed to activate. The recent major lunar standstill confirmed alignments that researchers are still examining. But if Stonehenge really functions as a cosmic countdown, what happens when it reaches zero? The stones are sending a message. The real question is, are we ready to hear it? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of humanity's greatest mysteries, hit that subscribe button. Many more ancient enigmas are waiting to be uncovered. And remember, the past isn't as primitive as we thought. Sometimes it's far more advanced than we.